Alright, looks like the camera's on, looks like it's recording. Well, that's kind of weird. Anyway, I wanted to go ahead and do music theory. So, here's where we start. The first thing is that we are going to talk about going from the notes that are on most instruments, piano, guitar, etc., up to chords. And so where we want to start is just by making a list of what the notes that there's such a thing as are on the instruments most of us play. So that's going to be C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. Now, if you haven't done much music before, then the two things that'll probably stand out to you first, well, first of all, most of these notes, there's a second note with the same letter name right after it, except that the second one is named sharp. I'll get to that later. The exception to that rule, though, is that right here, there is no sharp for E, and there is no sharp for B. So the first rule, letters are A through G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and out of those 7 letters, 5 of them have a sharp note. So altogether, there are 12 notes. I didn't count C a second time, so there's 13 on the board, but C only counts 1 time each. And I said that weird. C only counts once. It only counts 1 time. Anyway, so, and then every single one of these letter notes has another sharp note after it, except for E and B. There's no E sharp and there's no B sharp. So, I'm going to be, everything that we do is based on this. If this is new to you, then go ahead and pause the video right here, and I want you to try to do this from memory. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. And I need you to have that memorized. Not in that order, I just need you to know what those 12 notes are, or else I just don't think you're going to be able to follow what I'm doing. I guess you got that memorized. Alright, well, before I get into the deep part, let's talk about something else. I called these sharps, and basically the meaning of sharp is it's the note to the right of it. So C sharp is the note to the right of C, or another way of saying that, C sharp is the note that's 1 higher than C, so like higher pitch. These sharp notes can also be given a second name, which is a flat name. C sharp is not absolutely the name of C sharp. In other contexts, it might get a different name. It kind of doesn't matter, but it kind of does, because again, it's just, are you going to be able to follow this, follow conversations with people? So yeah, we'll just go through it right now. C sharp comes after C, but it comes before D. So it could also be named D flat. Flat is the opposite of sharp. So sharp is +1, flat is -1. Okay, so C, D flat, D. D sharp could also be named E flat, E, F, G flat, G, A flat, A, B flat, B, C. Alright, so this set of notes does not really sound good when you just play it. I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. So, can you see the guitar? Do you really need to see the guitar even? It's not really anything. It's just a list. I've compared this sometimes to like if you were baking something, this is just a list of items that are for sale in the baking aisle. There's no reason to believe that 3 or 4 things that are next to each other on the shelf are going to taste good together. That's all this is. And one more thing, because I'll probably say it later. It's called the chromatic scale. This list of notes the name of it is chromatic scale. And, okay, so chromatic scale, as I just said, you can't really use it to make music. You sort of can, but it's hard. Some people have tried, the most famous one, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Arnold Schoenberg, and he had a whole thing around like 1910, I want to say, where he wrote a kind of music called 12-tone serialism, and my understanding of it is that you're using all 12 notes, and you are writing in such a way that none of them is really prioritized over another. They all have equal weight in the song. And, I mean, it kind of sounds terrible. I mean, it sounds awful. You could go ahead and look that up. Just Arnold Schoenberg, 12-tone, something on piano will come up, and it doesn't really sound that good. I've never met anybody who really thought it was good sounding music. So what we want to do is take the chromatic scale, this list of 12 notes, and break it up into groups of notes that will actually sound good together. And so the pattern that we're going to do is this. So W means whole step. That is where you skip the next note. And the H is a half step. And that means play the next note, or take the next note for building what you're building. I guess spoilers. The thing we're making is called a major scale. So yeah, that's where we're going. So before I apply this, okay, a major scale, you've heard it before. Probably 99% of the music that you've ever heard is based on a major scale. And it's the whole sound that's like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And, so it's a series of steps, like distances. We're thinking of distances, and we follow these distances, and it will give us a group of notes that sound good, and make that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do sound of a scale. So, we're going to start on C. C is the first note we're taking. Since we're starting there, it's just kind of a given. So, C, first thing we do is we do a whole step. So from C, we do a whole step, and the next note in the scale is D. From D, we do another whole step. Next note of the scale is E. From E, we do a half step. We're on F. From there, so we did a whole, half. Okay, now it's 3 wholes in a row. So from F, we do a whole step, land on G. From G, we do a whole step, land on A. From A, we do a whole step, land on B. From B, we do our final half step, we land back on C. So to check your work, probably try to copy down all of this on a piece of paper. And to check your work, the questions that you'll ask are, 1, did I end on the same note that I began on? And 2, are there any letters that you didn't use? Or are there any letters that you used 2 times? And one last question, but I'm not going to harp on this one because usually this isn't an issue. But did you get 7 different notes? I do usually write the first one again at the end, but it doesn't count 2 times. Kind of like I stumbled over my words earlier saying that. It doesn't count twice. There should be 7 different notes. All right, so what we created by starting on C and following this whole half pattern is A major scale, and since this one started on C, it's the C major scale. Sometimes that is interchangeably called the key of C. They're not exactly the same thing, but they're pretty close. See, you will hear people, including me, sometimes just call it the C scale or the key of C. All right. Now, the neat thing is that we can take this same pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and we're going to do the same thing, but this time, instead of starting on C, we're going to start on D. So, D, do a whole step, we land on E. E, we do a whole step, land on F sharp. F sharp, we do a half step, we land on G. G, we do a whole step, land on A. A, we do a whole step, land on B. And then I'll rewrite this back here, write another B back here. B, we do a whole step, land on C sharp. And C sharp, we do a half step, land on D. All right, and so the question we'll ask students in real life right now, I don't want to seem like Dora Explorer asking a question to the camera because that seems weird. But I would say usually, what's the difference between C and D? And then I just wait for a reply, and the answer that you're supposed to get is, well, F sharp is the difference, F is the difference, and C is the difference. Because in this scale, you have F natural, the regular F, and in this scale, you have F sharp. So that's something that they don't have in common. That's the difference between them. And then same thing, the C scale obviously has C in it, and the D scale has C sharp in it. They have different C notes. And so, yeah, they're not the same. So that's the difference between C and D. Maybe a good time to pause the video and take a look. Make sure you understand what I'm talking about. Another question to ask about it is how many things are different between the two? And then the answer to that would be 2. F and F sharp are not the same, C and C sharp are not the same, so the F's and the C's, 2 things that are different. All right, okay, so I'm thinking that I've over-explained this enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kind of quick. I'm not going to stop and talk to the camera as much. And I'm going to write a pretty good number of scales up here. I'm going to do the E scale, F, G, and A. All right, so then F will be the one that I need to talk about. But we'll do it wrong at first and then come back to it. So E, let's also write this. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. All right, here we go. E, whole step to F sharp. F sharp whole step to G sharp, G sharp half step to A whole step to B whole step to C sharp whole step to D sharp half step to E. F whole step to G, whole step to A, half step to A sharp, whole step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, G sharp to A, whole to B, half to C, whole to D, whole to E, whole to F sharp, half to G. A, whole to B, whole to C sharp, half to D, whole to E, whole to F sharp, whole to G sharp, half to A. All right, so I did that pretty fast. Let's go through and ask the questions. On my E scale, did I start and end on the note that I was supposed to? Yes. 7 notes? Yes. Used every letter 1 time exactly? Yes. Good. Okay, F, we're skipping it. There is a mistake in there. See if you can catch it before I get there. Checking G. I started and ended on G. I had, every letter exactly once. A. I mean, it's right. I'm pretending to solve them. I actually have them memorized. You probably will memorize them pretty fast too. The thing I recommend against is don't make flashcards and memorize them like you're studying for a test, because you will forget it immediately. I say just think about it when you're at stoplights, think about it when you're in the car, think about it when you're walking or riding your bike or running. Some activity where your hands are occupied but your mind is open. That's a good time to think about this stuff and try to get it in your head. And obviously, also when you're practicing music. When you're practicing music is the best time. But I didn't think I needed to say that, so I don't know. I just said it anyway. But, okay, so let's go on. Here's the key at F. There's a mistake in here. So, did I start and end on F? Yes. Did I use every letter exactly once? No. And the error is right here. So how did I mess up? Well, F to G, hold, that's right. G to A, that's right. A to A sharp, yeah, that's a half step. A sharp to C, let's look at it. A sharp, yeah, that's a whole step. C to D, yeah, I did all the steps right. So why is it wrong? Why do I have A and A sharp when it's supposed to be one of every single one? Well, let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. Sharps and flats. If we're writing the music for like sheet music the way a lot of people do, I know it's not the most popular system nowadays, probably that's tabs nowadays, but if we're writing music on here and we have every good boy does fine, and then we have F, A, C, E, and then we try to write this F scale on here, then it would be F, G, A sharp, C, D, E, F. And, well, there's the problem right there. There's no notes on this line. The line is completely wasted in the music. And this one has two different notes that are supposed to sound different, but are written the same way. So, the way we're going to fix it is we're going to take this note, A sharp, and we are just going to change its name to B flat. And that would, once we have the name changed, that dot will go here, and everything works. The scale is, well, what people call that is, do you have the scale spelled correctly? Do you have it, did you get all the right notes? Is the scale correct or incorrect? But choosing the right name for these, that's called like spelling it right. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I'm not trying to make it too complicated. I mean, like, honestly, I'm trying to make it as easy as I can. So, but it's a complicated system. The weirdest thing is just the fact that it actually works in the first place, I think. A lot of this stuff kind of just, like, shouldn't work because it's so complicated and so unusual. But, I don't know. Bear with me. Trust me for now. Play with it after I'm done. All right, you should probably just try to get familiar with this before you keep going. A couple of common questions. One people will say is like, okay, so they'll say like, okay, so there's 6 scales, and that is not right. There's more than 6 scales. The issue is that I just wrote the 6 that I see the most. There's actually, like, you could actually start this whole step, or this whole step, half step, whole step, half step, major scale formula. You could start that on any of the 12 notes, right? Like, you could have like a C sharp scale, for example. You could have whatever. You could have like an A sharp scale, a B scale. You can have all of them. I just did the ones that happen a lot. And another question that I'll get is people will say, okay, well, that's major scales. How do you make minor scales? And that is a question that I have made way too complicated in the past. But basically, the way I used to look at it is there's not really any such thing as a minor scale. And so don't waste my time. And I've softened on that now. But, okay, so here's like an example of it, right? Is like, here's the notes of the C scale. I know it's written right here, but I'm just going to rewrite it over here, okay? So we get the C scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And here's the notes of an A minor scale, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Oh, hold on. Ignore that. Okay, so there's a C scale and an A minor scale, okay? Now, just so there's a second example already up here, I'm going to write up like the notes of the D scale and the notes of the B minor scale. So, or actually, let's do this. Let's do the A scale and the F sharp minor scale. So, A scale is A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and then the F sharp minor scale is F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. Okay. So, the same way that we asked earlier over here, like, what's the difference between C and D? And the difference is, this one has F sharp, this one has regular F or F natural. This one this one has C sharp, and this one has regular C. Okay, do a couple more of those real quick, and then I'll address the minor key question. All right. So, what's the difference between, say, C and G? Well, the difference is, do you see it? This scale, the G scale, has an F sharp, and this one has regular F. Only one difference, right? What's the difference between E and C? Well, this one has 4 differences. The F's, the G's, the C's, and the D's. So, again, I know I already said that earlier, but like when I say like what's the difference between a scale, okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right, so looking over here, what's the difference between the C scale and the A minor scale? Right? And so I'm thinking that your answer is there isn't a difference, right? And same thing here, from the A scale to the F sharp minor scale. They both have F sharp, they both have G sharp, they both have C sharp. They're exactly the same thing. So, I guess I maybe am like oversimplifying when I say like, okay, there's no such thing as a minor scale. There is such a thing as a minor scale, but we're not going to mess with it because every single minor scale has a major scale that it's the exact same notes as. Okay, another way I like to say the same thing is that, like, if we say we number these off, right? So C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Importantly, well, that's weird to call that 8. You can call that 8 or you can call it 1. Anyway, okay. Basically, the A minor scale is the same thing as the C scale, but starting on the 6th note instead of starting on the 1st note. And I don't know, that's kind of weird stuff, but I hope that makes sense. Collecting my thoughts, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, I've softened on it. Like I said, I used to say that I would say there's no such thing as a minor scale. There actually are some ways that the minor scales, even though they're just the same notes, are kind of different. But they're not a good thing to work with until you're just really familiar with this, can follow terminology fast. So I'm going to just move on now, I guess. Yeah, we'll get rid of all this. And, okay, so these scales, I'll play them on guitar real quick so we can hear them. Get the guitar back out. I'm going to plug it in too. Hopefully I don't play like ridiculously loud. Alright, so here's the sound of the C scale. And here's the sound of the D scale. Here's the sound of the E scale. F scale. And let me do that all one more time and then say what I'm going to say. Okay, they basically all sound the same. Like, every single one of these, they're all different, but they basically all sound the same. That is not where the creativity and the coolness of the music comes from. And I don't know, maybe I didn't say this at the beginning, but like, this is just like the nuts and bolts of things. Like, this is not where creativity comes from. This is just basic stuff for how you put it together. The good part is somewhere totally different than this. But a lot of times without knowing this basic stuff, you just can't get to the good part. So, alright, finishing this up. I did what? C, D, E, F. Let me do a whole bunch more. Here's G. A. B. Do some sharp ones. Here's F sharp. Here's A sharp. Here's, I don't know, whatever, A flat. They all sound the same. So, yeah, alright. I think you get it. I mean, I would have no way of knowing, but I guess the honest way to say it is I don't feel like talking about that right now. Okay. So, The next thing to actually go into is chords. So a chord is pretty much any time you hear two sounds at the same time. And yeah, it's just two notes at the same time. That's pretty much it. That's all a chord is. It can be more than that. If there's 3, it's a chord. If there's 4 different notes at the same time, that's also a chord. If there's 1,760, it's a chord, right? Just more than one. So, because like chords, it's mixes of notes. So, I mean, I'm sure you've heard that before. Do I have to do that on? I don't think I have to do that on guitar. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to build chords that will actually sound good with each other. Rather than, you know, like sometimes you'll have chords that they just don't sound good. Like you have 2 chords, they're real chords, but they don't sound good. The real way that you learn chords is you just get a book for beginners and you just read it and do the exercises that it says. But I'm going to pretend like that's not how we're doing it for this. For like actually learning an instrument, yeah, just get the beginner book and follow the instructions. But I'm talking about like theoretically what are chords made out of and like first principles of chords. So here's the idea, is that we've already separated the notes into groups of notes that'll sound good, the major scale. And from each major scale, we're going to take notes that are basically just like evenly spaced and create chords out of them. So, like I said a minute ago, let's number these off. Let me number these off. Number off: C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, 5, 6, 7. And the formula for how to make a major chord out of a major scale is that you just select the first, third, and fifth note. All right, so I'll do some examples of that. The way to make a C chord is you go to the C scale and you take the first note, C, the third note, E, and the fifth note, G. C, E, G, that's a C chord. Any combination of those notes. It doesn't matter what order they're in, nothing matters except just if it's a C, an E, and a G, it's a C chord. Cool. If we wanted to make a D chord, we would go to the D scale and take the first, D, the third, F sharp, and the fifth, A. That's a D major chord. All right, if we want to make an E major chord, we go to the E major scale. E, third, G sharp, fifth, B. All right, I'm going to go a little bit faster. I just think I'm explaining it good and you already get it. Okay, so F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C sharp, E. All right, so that's how you make a major chord. The formula for a minor chord, we're going to get rid of this whole step, half step thing in the corner. I need that space now. All right, the formula to make a minor chord is 1, flat 3, 5. Okay, stupid note. You always write it 3 and then the flat symbol or the sharp symbol, right? Whatever when you're writing. But when you read out loud a sharp or a flat, you always say it like before, but you write it after. So I wrote 3 and then a flat symbol, but I say flat 3. I don't know. That's how people do it. I don't know. It sounds awkward if you do it wrong, like 3 flat. Everybody says flat 3, I think. Anyway, okay, so to make a minor chord, 1, flat 3, 5, go to the C scale and still take the first one. That's the same in both. The third one, E, we're going to change that to E flat, right? So it's one note lower. So in this case, I have gone outside of this scale because of this 3 flat. I know for a fact that a C minor chord built out of the key of C will not sound good with the key of C, right? Or with the C scale. C minor does not go with C by definition. The definition of what makes it minor makes it sound bad in the key of C. Okay, so 3 flat and then 1, 3 flat, 5. The 5 is G. Okay, cool. There we go. All right. D minor chord. So the first thing when I want to make a D minor chord is I go to the D major scale, take note 1, D, note 3, F. Now F sharp is already sharp, right? So when I flat a sharp, they just cancel out. we have a regular F in the middle of it. I'm going to say that again because I want to make sure that I don't just gloss by it. If a note is sharp and you have to flat that note, they just cancel out and it becomes the regular one. Okay, so we have D, the F, the sharp and the flat cancel out, D, F, and then A, the 5 is still the same. All right, again, I feel like this is pretty good. I'll be a little more thorough and do like 1 or 2 more, but okay, E, G sharp, B, I go to the E scale, take 1, E, 3, G sharp gets flatted and it's a G, and then B. The F scale, we have F. The A is natural, so when I flat it, aha, I wrote the wrong thing. I'm thinking ahead. F, A flat, C. And, let's see, oh yeah, okay, G, B flat, D, A, C, E. All right, big list of chords. This is how, like, from a theoretical perspective, the chords are constructed. But that doesn't tell us which ones will sound good together, right? All this tells us is, like, that's what they are, that's how they're built. The way you know if things will sound good together is basically, like, if you can find a scale that has every single note for both chords, they're going to sound good together. So, for example, like, okay, so for example, like the G chord is G, B, and D, right? Well, we built it out of G, but if you look at the C scale over here, right? It's got a G in it, it's got a B in it, and it's got a D in it, right? And so if we're in the key of C, then obviously we can play the chord C because we built it out of that, right? But we could also play G. See, the C scale has everything we need for both chords. Yeah? All right. What other chords could we play there? Could we play the D major chord in that key? And so take a look. Does this scale have a D in it? Yeah, we're good. Does it have an A in it? Yeah, we're good. But the F that it has, it's the wrong F. This one has F natural and a D major chord. We need F sharp. So we can't play the D chord if the song is in the key of C. It's not going to sound good, right? At least, like, strictly speaking. If you're a really good songwriter, you can make anything work. But yeah, just strictly speaking, it's probably not something you want there. All right, the solution to that, though, right, is if you take a look, the D minor chord, D, F, and A, that one definitely will fit. So I'm going to put D minor here. All right, next, can we play the E major chord in key of C? E, we're good. B, we're good. We don't have the right G. Same solution as D. The E minor chord will fit. All right, what about F? We have F, A, C, F, A, C. Yeah, we're good. F will fit. And let's see, G, we did G at the beginning, so skipping. And then A, C sharp, E. Well, C sharp, yeah, obviously C sharp, a chord with a C sharp in it is not going to go on the C scale. Yeah. So, same solution that we've used a couple times here. If the major doesn't fit, there's a pretty good chance that the minor chord does fit. So A minor with a regular C, that does fit. A, C, E. A, C, E, we're good. All right. Now, I'm just going to give an answer here. Every single one of these has 6. There's going to be 6 chords for every single key. Not counting like fancy chords and stuff, like decorated versions. Yeah, just basically in general, there's 6 chords for every key. Now, okay, there is actually one more. Sorry, I'm like saying one thing and then taking it back over and over again. There's also, you could make a chord with, like, that starts with the last letter, the 7th letter of them, but they generally just don't sound that good. So I'm glossing over and skipping them. They're called diminished chords, but, I mean, geez, I don't think I could name a single song where that's really used very much. And when it is used, it's just kind of used as like a special effect, at least that I can remember. It's not very common. We're going to stay with the stuff that people see over and over and over again, because I don't want to waste time on stuff that you won't even see it for like a year and a half or something. So, okay, that's the chords in the key of C. C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor. Right, the M for A. Okay, let's do the same thing for the key of D, right? Which is, could we play the D chord in it? Yes, obviously. The D chord will work. Could we play a C chord in it? No. Could we play a C sharp or a C minor? No. And you know, I did actually just say this like 20 seconds ago. C is in the last position of D. We're just not going to have a C, any kind of C chord for the key of D, unless you want to get really advanced with diminished chords. I don't think anybody wants that if this lesson is actually relevant to you so far. So, okay, we got D. Can we have an E major chord? No, because regular G, sharp G, but minor will work. So D, E minor, F sharp. You know what? I didn't put F sharp up here, so I'll just give the answer, which is F sharp minor. I just have that memorized. I don't know. You'll stumble on understanding it. Just stick with the basics. All right. Does G fit? Yeah, G fits perfectly. G, B, D, G, B, D. Does A major fit? A, C sharp, E, A, C sharp, E. Yep, A fits. And then I didn't write the B scale, right? But B minor is the last one. Okay. So this is one approach to doing it. And that's two examples of it. I don't know, I said this earlier, I'm so used to teaching in person that I'm used to people just interrupting me with questions. So if I do miss something or something's confusing, like obviously this is going to be like a YouTube video or whatever. So just like leave comments and I can answer questions or make another video. I guess y'all know that. I know that. YouTube's been around for like forever now. Okay, so alright, so second approach to this, right, is really different. I'm going to actually, I don't want to make a ton of space, but let's go ahead and use the G scale for this, okay? Oh, this marker's dying. Alright, I'm going to use orange. Actually, there's like a pretty good chance that orange isn't even going to show up on camera. How about just blue again? Yeah, we'll just do blue again. Alright, so let's just say I'm doing the G scale. Alright, so G, everything is a natural normal note, except F sharp. So F sharp is our only one, alright? G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Okay, so before, we were building everything with the formulas and then cross-referencing it. This is another way that's faster. We're just having one scale, right? And for each, well, let me say this. What I'm about to show you is just another way to do the same thing that I just showed you. It's just another method of doing the exact same process. It just also works, and sometimes it's better. Some people like it more. Okay, so we can just take the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but not counting that, right? Said that like twice already. And just think, like, what are the different combinations of evenly spaced notes that exist in the scale, right? So you could have, obviously, the first, third, and fifth, because that was the major scale, right? You could also make a chord that's the second, fourth, and fifth. Or, sorry, second, fourth, and sixth. 2, 4, 6, right? Beyond that, you could have one that is 3, 5, 7. You could also have one that's 4, 6, right? And then it appears to not work anymore because 4, 6, you skip over 7, but that puts you back at the beginning. So 4, 6, 1. You could have one that is 5, 7, excuse me, goes back around, same thing I was just saying, 5, 7, 2 could be the next one. And then 6, 1, 3. And so, does that make sense, kind of? These are the different combinations that you could have. 1, 3, 5 is the first possible one. 2, 4, 6 is the second possible. 3, 5, 7. 4, 6, 1. 5, 7, 2. 6, 1, 3. And 613 always makes me think of the area code in like New York or Long Island or whatever. All right. Yeah, so in this case, that would be 135 is G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F sharp, C, E, G, D, F sharp, A, E, G, B. Yeah, And that would be your set of chords for the key of G. So start comparing this. You should probably just, on your own sheet of paper, solve some more of these, right? And then on your original grid that you drew, that's like this. Well, hold on. Pause the video here. Do all this on a sheet of paper. Review everything. Just rewind. And just make sure that you get this. Because it's about to be the moment where it's like, whatever that movie is, Da Vinci Code or Inception or whatever, where they like discover something and the camera is just like spinning around the main character as they like realize the mystery. But yeah, that's what I'm about to show you, right? But make sure that you understand all this really good. So yeah, pause now. I'll take a break and then I'll come back and say it. All right, so should be that you did this on a sheet of paper and yada, yada, yada. All right, what we're gonna do next is that we're gonna take all your answers of like what chords are what in each key, and we want to just fill in on our original grid that we made, fill in the M's, right? So in the key of C, which chords are minor? Well, okay, we have 7 scratched out pretty good, right? Should color over 7. So we're not really paying attention to that today. And this column also really doesn't matter because it's just a repeat of column 1. Okay, but the rest of them, so like key of C, which ones were minor? And let's write the M, and then where we write nothing, it's major, right? So D was minor, E was minor, and A was minor, right? Good. Okay, so then in key of D, E was minor, F was minor, and B was minor. All right, so the rest of these, you should have this on your paper. Key of E, F sharp is minor, G is minor, and C sharp is minor. Are you seeing a pattern? So basically, just look at it for a second and tell me, like basically make some guesses. What is it going to be in F? Because this is not on the board, right? Because I started showing the other way of doing this. F, it's going to be this one, and this one. And actually for all of them, whatever is the second note in the scale will become a minor chord. Whatever the third note in the scale is will become minor. And the last one will become minor. Key of A, B minor, C sharp minor, F sharp minor. And so then from there, we've accomplished like the original goal of finding chords that will sound good together. And these are going to be your most basic way of like making a song and picking out chords that sound good together. If you want to do a song that starts on C, this is probably the set of chords you want. There's exceptions. Again, I said this a little while ago. If you're a really good songwriter, I mean, you could do pretty much anything. You know, that's kind of competitive and creative and all that. This is not really that creative. This is for basic stuff. These are the roles that you're playing against when you're trying to do good creative songwriting. But anyway, yeah, like, you know, if you're doing C scale, C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, that's your word bank. That's the chords that you have access to. Key of D, D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor. I'm not going to read all this, but yeah, you have sets of chords that will sound good together going down. It goes further than this. There's a lot more than this, but this is the basics. It'll help you to, when you're writing a song, just get started faster. You can get bare bones. You can find important parts that you want to make better. The other use of this is that if you're figuring a song out by ear and you can find one chord that sounds good, right? It makes you a lot more accurate at guessing what else is in there. So say, for example, you're figuring out a song and you find it has a C chord in it, right? Well, there's going to be 3 different things that could be. It could be the key of C if it has a C chord in it. It could also be the key of F, right? It could be the 5th chord in the key of F. It could also be the 4th chord in the key of G. But you can just immediately, the same way that like it's giving you a short list of like things that it is, it's also giving you a list of things that it isn't. If the song that you're trying to figure out has a C chord in it, you basically know for a fact it's not key of D, because key of D does not have a C chord in it, right? Same with key of E. You've got C sharp minor. It's just probably not in that key. Maybe it is. You know, one of my songs, you can hear my music on Spotify and type in William K. I guess if this is going on YouTube, then I'm supposed to say check the link in the description below. But yeah, anyway, like you can find my song called Old Roads. I actually do that. I use some chords that are supposed to sound terrible together. Like the chords at the beginning are C sharp minor, C, A minor, E. I'll play it real quick. Or here's the actual song, and then I'll play. Okay, and then here's just the sound of the chords. Is like. Yeah, so that's a song that's on my Spotify. It's called Old Roads. It's a published thing. I did find a way to make C and C sharp minor work together, and I'm really proud of that. But like, that was something that was difficult to do. It's not normal. This is normal, right? This is what most of the stuff is. I mean, like the rest of the song after that was mostly just like E, A, and B, like a pretty normal key of E song, right? E, A, and B. It's like. And then what does it do after that? C sharp. I don't remember what the actual chords are there. Okay, C sharp minor, C, E, F sharp minor, B7. Yeah, I mean, I did some tricky stuff in there, but like huge chunks of it are just basic chords that don't stand out that much. You know, the interesting chord stuff, like I make that coincide with when it's like the important part of the lyrics or the important part of the story. When it's like a part of the story that I'm telling in the lyrics where I'm just like giving background information and setup, like I don't want a bunch of crazy stuff distracting you from the words. I want people to be able to hear the words and understand it. And I want it a little bit predictable because like I don't want to surprise you too much with the music when I'm trying to tell a story. That's counterproductive. So anyway, what you should do at this point, you should just try to write 6 songs. Just use these 6 scales, these 6 keys. Try to make some, just do some combinations of them. Just play with what order you arrange the chords in. It's like, okay, for like key of C, you could try to do like C, E minor, F, G. And just pick those 4 and just make a song out of it. Yeah, go on to key of D, and you can just make something by rearranging those. Maybe for key of D, we have access to D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, and B minor. I'll try B minor. Go to, I don't know, I'll go to F sharp and then G. B minor, F sharp, G. Saying it's good, but like, I mean, it's normal. It's not a completed thing, but it sounds good. It sounds passable. Same, okay, E, I did an example in E a second ago. You can play with that one too. F, G minor, A minor, B, C, D minor. I mean, that was like F, B minor, F, C. I don't know. I think you get it. So anyway, I hope, if you didn't already know this stuff, if this was new to you, I hope I did a good job explaining it. I hope that you learned from it. Just do the YouTube stuff, because I guess that helps me, since like I said at the very beginning, only like 3 people watch my videos. I think it's like my cousin and my nephew, and then like the guy who used to play bass in my band. And I think that's the only people who watch any of my YouTube videos. So do stuff that maybe gets like 3 more people to watch it would be cool. And then my music is on Spotify. That's really my main project. So go to Spotify and type in William K. Actually, it's on like all the music streaming things. The music's on all the music streaming things, but Spotify is the one I actually check on. But yeah, listen to some of my actual music, and I don't know. This is the basics. That's how I do it. So bye.